Welcome to this edition of Straight Off the Boat. I'm Todd, and today I will be preparing my recipe for fried shrimp as well as my recipe for boiled shrimp, or as some people like to call them, peel and eat shrimp. So stay tuned, we'll be ready to go in just a minute. Thanks for joining me today. Well, I have my wild-caught white Georgia shrimp straight off the boat, roughly 2 to 3 pounds. They're already peeled and deveined. Now, before I mess with the shrimp, I need to create the batter so that we can get them to the frying pan. Now, what I like to use is evaporated milk, roughly 12 ounces, and 1 raw egg. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to mix these two items together and place my shrimp in it and let them try to soak in some juices and all. Now my milk and my egg are mixed together, but I also like to add in just a dash of black pepper. And I always use Old Bay seasoning when I'm doing roughly anything with seafood, period. It just gives it a little more kick and it brings the flavor of the seafood out naturally. Okay. Alright, now that my batter's ready, I can go ahead and start placing my shrimp into the batter. Now I don't want to pull them out too fast, and I don't want to put too many in there. I want them to be able to soak up as much as possible because it lets the breader connect to it easier. Now at this point I already have my grease in my pan, and I'm going to take and turn it on high. Now I have a temperature gauge in it. I want the grease to be 350 degrees. You can do this on a stove or you can do this on a propane cooker. Now my shrimp have been sitting in this bowl for a little while, so I believe it's time to go ahead and take them out and put them straight into the breader. Remember, be sure your hands are clean. Now you want to get all of it mixed in together real well. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to take them and put them over here by themselves so I can keep breading shrimp while my grease is getting warmer. Now one trick that I like to use is putting sugar into my grease as it's getting warmer before I put my shrimp in. What this does is makes my shrimp a little bit more golden than what they would have already been. The more sugar you put into the grease, the darker your finished product will be. Now if you make them too dark, they'll come out black. They will not be burnt, but they will come out black. Because what's actually happening is the grease is cooking the sugar and burning the sugar. But it doesn't, the only effect it really gives is coloration, and it makes it a little bit sweeter. Now my grease is already at 350. It's time to start putting these shrimp in. Now I can't put them all in at one time because shrimp do not take very long to cook. Now be careful when you're working with hot grease, it does pop. You don't want to splash the shrimp in, you want to ease them into the grease. But be careful easing them in, you don't want to stick your finger in the grease either. Now I believe that's enough for right now. I already have my plate for when the shrimp are done, I can take them out. Now one thing that you do want to do is you want to stir shrimp. You want to be sure that they don't all gather up. If they clump up, you're going to have a clump of shrimp that are all stuck together. You want them to be able to take and mess with them individually. In fact, a couple of these are already starting to be done. Again, it does not take very long. Always look to see when they're actually, the whole shrimp is floating on the grease. You can also look at the texture, the color of the breading on it, because it'll start turning golden, as you can see. Now all of these are done. I'm going to get these out real quick and put some more in and keep going until I'm all out of shrimp. Now you got to keep steady watching the temperature gauge, because when you're putting shrimp in, your grease temperature is going to drop. So you've steadily got to watch the gauge and adjust your temperature on the stove. Now as you can see, we're on our last handful. Just watch me put them in. Now just to be sure I didn't miss any, I want to run my hand through the breader one last time to be sure I didn't miss any. And so far, I haven't. And now they're ready to come out. And that's your fried shrimp right there. They're ready to go. Now we're going to start and we're going to get ready to do our boiled shrimp, which won't take as long as the fried shrimp. So I'm going to stick these in the oven to keep them warm. Now with our fried shrimp already done, we're going to begin with our peel and eat shrimp, or as I call, boiled shrimp. Because that's what we're going to do. We're going to put them in water and boil them. It will not take very long, and they're very easy to cook. Easier than fried shrimp, because it's less preparation. I have my shrimp, but this time my wild-caught white Georgia shrimp are not peeled or deveined, because how would you have peel and eat shrimp if you couldn't peel and eat them? I want to fill a pot 1/3 of the way full of water. What I'm trying to judge mentally is if all of my shrimp will go into the pot. And the more shrimp I put into the pot, the higher the water will rise. Now I'm going to turn my burner on, and I'm going to turn it on high. What I want to happen is I want the water to boil before I put the shrimp in it. Now, as the water is getting warmer and all, I like to go ahead and season my water. So I'm going to put some sea salt into my water. I don't want to put very much. You can't oversalt shrimp because we're dealing with something that came out of a saltwater environment. I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. I'm going to add Old Bay seasoning because I'm dealing with seafood again. And it helps bring out that seafood flavor, that unique flavor to what we're fixing to eat. And Tabasco sauce. Now I like making my shrimp a little bit more spicy, but what a lot of people don't realize is that your hotness, your spiciness to the shrimp does not come from the Tabasco sauce. It actually comes from the black pepper. But I'm still going to add Tabasco into it anyway for a little bit of flavor. Well, now my water's boiling, so I'm going to start putting my shrimp in the pot. Now this is hot water. You don't want your shrimp to splash too much or you'll end up getting burned by the hot water. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to ease the heat down just a bit because they cook so fast. Now to be sure they're all in the pot. Now it's okay for some of them to be sticking out just a bit, but you don't want a lot sticking out. As you can see here, it was easy for me to move them around, and the majority of them, the greater majority, is under the water. As you can see here, they're already starting to turn orange. This means they're cooking. And we're wanting a perfect orange around the shrimp so that we know they're done. The tails are all going to turn red. Now the temperature has dropped just a bit. Remember, we put cool shrimp into the water, so the temperature is going to drop. So I'm going to pick the temperature up just a bit on the stove, because as you can see in the pot, the shrimp are not actually all the way done. As you can see by just this one shrimp right here, I still see a little bit of black in the tail. That means he's not done just yet. Now some are becoming done because see, there's no black in that tail. He's all red, pink, and orange. Alright, so my shrimp have sat here for a few minutes. I think they're done. They look done. I'm pretty sure they're going to taste done. So I'm going to turn the temperature off. I'm going to bring them to the sink. And I'm going to try to strain as much water off of them as possible. I don't want the shrimp to stay in the water, for the simple fact that if they do stay in the water, they'll become soggy and not quite as tender as we'd like them to be. Again, be careful, you're dealing with hot water and a hot pot. Alright, the majority of the water is off. I'm going to put them on my plate. Now we have our boiled shrimp, or as some people call them, peel and eat shrimp, along with the fried shrimp that we completed just a little bit earlier. Alright, let's see how good they are. Didn't want to speak with my mouth full, but they're pretty good. Now my boiled shrimp are still really hot, so I'm going to have to reach over, grab one, and blow on it for a little bit. Let's see how good these are. He's still a little bit warm. Just right. Just as spicy as I like to have them. For me, I don't need any sauce to eat any of these. But for some people, you can serve these with cocktail or tartar sauce. Some people prefer ketchup. To cook all of this like we did, I would say probably from preparation to end would be an hour tops, the way we did it. If you were doing it all together, if you have more than one person, I say you would be out of the kitchen in 30 minutes. Get your seafood straight off the boat.